Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. We do the end of the year beer stuff here. Yeah, we're going to do our best ofs. That's not the best way to put it. Best ofs 2024. It's the beers that I like the most that I reviewed. I probably had beers that I like better or as good as these, but I didn't review them. If there's a beer that I've had previously that I reviewed, probably didn't put it on here. Exclude mystery beers, exclude homebrew. This is just commercially available stuff that I reviewed throughout the year. This is typically an arduous task for me. I typically forget everything I review, and then I have to go back and kind of remember which ones I really like. To usually download a big old spreadsheet of all the beer reviews I did for the year and kind of go through them, watch a couple, do all that, blah, blah, blah. No, I finally learned my lesson. And this comes from a couple different beer tubers do the same thing. Whenever a beer really strikes me, and I'm sure I've missed a couple along the way here, when a beer really, really strikes me, I take the empty, I put it on a shelf. They're the only empties to keep throughout the year. So I have a bunch of empties here that I'm going to fire through, and that's going to be my best ofs. I wanted to make it top 10. Ended up being the top 12. Honestly, it was the top 20. I didn't feel like recording a full-length 20 video, so I'm like, let me whittle these down. I whittled down 20 to 18, and finally I whittled 18 down to 12. We're still going to show you the other 6 as my honorable mentions. Those are right over here. So, again, my personal best of reviewed in 2024, and one thing that probably has me very stoked for this, I will say 80% plus of these are beers that I got off a shelf. Maybe I'm a little bit, maybe it's 70%, but a good portion of these are beers that I actually picked off the shelf. Again, regional, local to me. It might not be a national beer, but it's something I picked off the shelf. It's not something I got from a brewery, a trade, something gave me. There's some of those in here, but keep that in mind. This is stuff that you should be able to get recently easy if you wanted to get some. So let's start it off. Honorable mentions. We're going to fire through the honorable mentions. J.W. Lee's Harvest Ale 2012 Calvados cask. That beer, always a game changer for me. I can get that anywhere in New Jersey, so that's why it's a shelfie. A local brewery, but they do distribute onto shelves. It's Oakflower. This is their Transience 5% dry hop Pilsner. This is given to me, I believe. Was it given me or buy it? Was this come from Eugenes? I don't remember. I don't think so. I forget where I got this. Oh, this might have come from my buddy George, or it might have come from 4 other different people. I think it was given to me. Yeah. Oakflower. Spoiler alert. They're going to be back in this in some form or fashion. But yeah. One of the better Pilsners I've had last year. Von Trapp in combination with Live Oak. We have smoked Helles. This beer was probably my favorite Von Trapp of the year. No, it comes in second. They might make another appearance. And actually might be third. There was a beer I actually picked up from them I never reviewed that I love so much that I drank so fast that I got another 4-pack and I drank it so fast I never reviewed that. That's how much I love that beer. I'm so angry that I didn't get to review it. This comes from my boy Ty. This is Poor Man's. This is our house lager. Yeah. Polish style lager. Loved crushing the crap out of that. This was one of the more interesting beers I've had, and I just had to put them on the list, even at honorable mention. The brewery here is De Dochter van de Korenaar. This is their Lambo De Montalcino. It's a barley wine style ale aged in Brunello wine barrels. The pomp, the circumstance, the interestingness of the beer. It's really cool to see this brewery pop up local to me, and I thought it was a really fun, just kind of jaunt down the cool lane. And last but not least, honorable mention, Light from The Alchemist. Their lager, this is given me by my boy George. Honestly, one of the better lagers I've had. Just ripped the crap out of this beer. Immediately was like, oh, it's going to be in the best ofs, but it didn't even make it into the top 12. So there you go. Quick introduction. Let's move these over, make a little room, because I'm going to need it for the top 12. Like I said, beers I reviewed this year. We're not going to go in any particular order of best to worst or anything like that. I'm just going to state the beers that I've had. I'll pop them out here. If you want to follow these in any kind of order, they're almost exactly in from the first of the year to the end of the year. That's the kind of order they're in. At least that's the way I place them on the shelf, so I assume they're like that. So, yeah, here we go. First off, honestly, up there for beer of the year, Ralphius. This is their Cognac, two-year Cognac barrel Ralphius. I can't say enough about this beer, how much I enjoyed it, what years it's from, because this is 2022. The newer versions are quite a bit different. Ralphius has always been a really favorite beer of mine. You know, how do I say this? I don't have to say it delicately. Free Will Brewing brews this. They brewed it for quite some time. It's been a huge barrel-aged beer in my area, but they literally just let go the person who that made Ralphius. Ralphius made their barrel program, their sour program, a funky program, and who knows where Ralphius goes from there. But it's still available. I can still get this bottle available at the brewery or even at distribution. And it's decently priced point. I want to say I paid in the mid 15s for this. And it's just a beautiful representation of just a barrel-aged beer. You know, it's an Imperial Stout aged for 2 years in cognac barrels, 13.3%. Was just a absolutely delish. And like all of these reviews, I'll link down below. So if you want to check them out, I don't know, can you still do the thing where you click a card or something? I don't know. It'll be in the description below. And honestly, their barrel program, like I said, up until now has been like top-notch, world-class stuff. This one's no different. Absolutely fantastic beer that, honestly, should go buy more of it. Next up, we have Abomination Brewing. Little Foggy. It's a double dry hopped India Pale Ale. This is a little bitty boy coming at 4.5%. It is a India Pale Ale with Mosaic Citra, Pacific Jade, Summit, and Nelson hops. Man, semi-local to me, and by that I mean, you know, Abomination Brewing guys are from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. That's a 12-minute drive from where I'm at, but they brew out of 12% beer project. I've had a bunch of their beers homebrew-wise before they went to 12%. I've had a bunch of their beers since they've gone to 12%, and I've enjoyed their stuff. A lot of very much hazy-leaning stuff, even though they do much more than that. And I've dug what they had. They are a little bit high in a price point down here in Jersey, which is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around, being that I know them and they're right down the street. But knowing that it's going all the way up to Connecticut, being brewed up there, coming back down here, it kind of makes sense. This was at a killer price point. I want to say it might have... It was either, I don't remember, but it was either in 4-packs at like dirt cheap with like 10, 11 bucks, or it was in a 6-pack for like 13 bucks or something like that. And, you know, anytime you have that magic combination of low ABV, but nice, rich bursting in flavor, you know, you have me at my heartstrings. And honestly, this is one of the best low ABV hazies I've ever had. Just as far as that getting below that 5% alcohol volume, just hitting all those notes, making that mouthfeel that's infinitely hard to get when you have that lowerish ABV. Man, talk about session haze. This top-notch, ultra good stuff. Now this beer, new brewery time, Triptych Brewing. This be their another peculiar point in time. This beer is a brandy barrel-aged Barleywine style ale conditioned on whole bean Intelligentsia coffee. This comes from my buddy Phil from Illinois. Phil sent off a box of beer. There was like 2 homebrew in there, and then there was this and another Triptych beer. I actually haven't drank the other one yet because I'm kind of scared of mixed culture Berlinery beers, and that's what that one is. I'll get to it eventually. Those things last. I'm not worried about it, but I had this, and this thing blew my socks off. One of the better barrel-aged barley wines I've had definitely this year. It's on this list, so it kind of makes sense, but it's all-timer like that. And you know, you don't get a ton of coffee barley wines. I dig on that. Some people poo-poo on coffee. I'm a big fan of it, but this one absolutely nailed it. Did an absolutely beautiful job with it. And you know, to kind of have your first foray into a brewery be this level of beer just makes you want to try so much more, even though I have one still sitting in my fridge. Yeah, I've heard of the brewery before. I've seen them on socials and stuff like that. Gotta keep that moisturized. But yeah, absolutely fantastic and really cool art. You know, kind of this creepy, kind of like churchy scene. And just honestly, I'm gonna say this over and over again in this video. Top-notch stuff. I was blown away by this beer. Yeah, Treehouse Brewing. This is their Choconanner. You know, you talk about chocolate and banana in a milk stout. I was a little hesitant, a little trepidation here diving into it, because banana can go a couple different ways for me when it comes to beer. You know, just that inherent kind of, is it a flaw? Is it really banana? You know, Treehouse, I like their beers. Their stouts can be a little bit hit or miss for me. My buddy George laid this one on me, and God, I went gaga for this thing. Like I said, the reviews are going to be linked down below, so I implore you to watch them if you want to, if you haven't already. And honestly, you know, it rarely do I see like a pastry beer. This is a 7% pastry stout. Give me the chocolate, give me the banana, put it in a beer, give it to me, and it kind of preconceived notion tees it up to be something of a little bit juvenile-y sweet in a very pastry way, which these beers are, but rarely did they kind of make me hot and bothered like this. I was just getting all kinds of, just, I don't know, got me into, got the nipples hard, if we're going to say anything specific. And just for a pastry stout, probably the best, if not one of, because back in those cycle days, you got crazy. Or was it, not cycle, Angry Cherub days? Probably both of them. Anyway, yeah. To get me that hot and bothered to enjoy it that much, but to just absolutely flat out, no question, top, whatever, 12, Mount Rushmore beer of the year, if there was 12 heads on it, this sucker made it. And thank you very much, George, for laying this sucker on me. What do we have next? We have, here's another George beer, I believe. Eugenes Axe. I think this is a George beer. It's got to be a George beer. Double Indian Pale Ale, Hazie IPA, Citra and Galaxy, Fidens Brewing Company, done and done. I don't have to say anything. I mean, here, Treehouse. Oh, Triptych Treehouse. What was the one? Now you can get that. A couple beers that aren't necessarily shelfy, so maybe I'm fudging the 80% number here. You know, a lot of people lust after Fidens, but can't get it. If you want it, wherever you live, just find somebody that lives close to there and just trade. You can get it pretty easily. But man, you know, just talking just straight up, just filth of good haze. This sucker was just delivering the heat. Absolutely fantastic. There are, man, there's very few breweries that are up there with them as far as hazies go. Brewery should have been on this list actually, because I reviewed one right at the tail end of the year, which would be a local to me, Hidden River. They'll be on next year's list. Now I have a bunch of their stuff to post up still. And man, yeah, I would put these against some of the bigger hazy producers nowadays as far as consistency and just 2x4 to the face, just bursting of flavor. Hazy IPAs, that one shows and proves a little bit of love for a beer you absolutely can't get. The rarest beer on this show. Rarest beer on this countdown. Requiem's Select Premium Lager. No frills here. You know, we're talking about a low ABV lager. 12-ounce can. Why can't I get that? Because the brewery doesn't exist yet. So you know my love, if you watched the channel for quite some time, you know my love of Bond Place Brewing. And Kev, one of the beer tenders and one of the ex-brewers from Bond, decided to kind of make their own way, cut their own way in the beer world, and decided to open their own brewery, Requiem. They moved to Philly to get the processes and paperwork in the works, and basically it kind of stalls on them, but at the same time they're starting a contract. They brewed some beer, can't sell it. Might as well give it to this guy. So as of right now, the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, their brewery is not open. If you walk into, I don't know, a lager brewery in Philly and ask a tattooed bearded guy if you could find one, you might magically appear with one. I don't know if that's the case. But when we did Beer Tuber Palooza, we did pop into Human Robot, and Kev was bartending, and he's like, I gotta get some beer, brother. And he gave me a bunch. I gave some to other beer tubers, and I came home with this, reviewed it, loved it. Drinking chugger beer. So this is a weird one. This is a beer you cannot get, but in short order, you should be able to get it pretty reg. So, yeah, Requiem. Keep an eye out. 2025. What else do we got? Ooh. Here's that re-repeat. Von Trapp Brewing. This is their Trösten. This is a smoked dark lager. So I kind of talked about the Von Trapp Brewing and how there was a beer, like they had the one smoked Helles in honorable mentions, and how there was one beer they made. It's actually the Keller beer for those who want a spoiler. I think Nerd Sense is going to do a review of that eventually. I think he got a can of that from Keith. The Keller beer, oh my god, it was so good. I bought, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I bought 3-4 packs. I never reviewed it. I just love drinking it so much. It's not even a Keller beer. It's like a super hoppy version of a Keller beer. Anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning that is I almost did the same thing with Trösten here. I drank this. I loved it. I didn't review it. I got another sixer, and I got down to my last can. And I'm like, why are you not reviewing this beer? And I reviewed it, and honestly, just as far as, you know, gentle smoke, nothing too heavy, nothing too over the top, nothing like super flabby, you know, over crazy smoke, but it was definitely a smoke beer that had a beautiful core to it. That was a really great dark lager that happened to have some smokiness to it. And honestly, like I said, I could not get enough of this beer, readily available off the shelf, and just something that, man, if I could still find it now, I will buy it. Let's put it that way. This beer will age fantastically, and I do know this is a seasonal for them. I'm pretty sure I reviewed this before. It is going to be bought on the reg again next year. So, yeah, Trösten from Von Trapp Brewing. Next up, we have Cascade Pils from The Seed. I'm wearing a Seed shirt right now. And as you can tell, Human Robot. That's kind of like Human Robot's design. It's The Seed and Human Robot in the back here. New Jersey style Pilsner. Yeah, New Jersey. It says here, I thought they had story time on here, but they don't. Basically, Cascade Pilsner. I believe it's brewed with Jersey malts. And just, you know, world-class lager. World-class hopping. It's expressive, drinkable, a bunch of traditional backbone to it, but a nice twist and the way it's Jersified itself with its with that malt bill, and then how, you know, it kind of comes off, just showcasing that delicious Cascade. It's just a fantastic beer, and honestly, you're talking about, this came from my boy Vinny, by the way, and ABV on this, I don't think they put it on here. Are they the ones that put it on the bottom? I think they do, but I think you can't see it on here. I want to say this is probably in the 5.1 range or something like that. And just one of those beers that, again, I wanted a sixth of, I wanted a case of, I wanted all the beer belong to us, and just have this never ending. Sometimes you can't have everything you want, but yeah. Another Vinny beer. Oakflower. Autodidact. This is Money Sucks Friends Rule, 8.2% double IPA. This was the most violent double IPA I've had in quite some time, in a very, very, very fantastic way. Just a copious amounts of hops, and how drenched it was, and just richness and dankiness and hoppiness. I know that's so on the nose just to say hoppiness, but just how rich and how decadent it was in that hop spectrum. And just the perfect level of sweetness, the perfect kind of density for a really just mean mug and hazy. Man, you know, two breweries that I really do enjoy. Autodidact, I love their beers. They can have hits or misses, just like any new brewery. Same thing with Oakflower. But, you know, when they hit. And these friends, I guess they'd be friends. They're not too far away from each other. Just knocked it out of the park. Even to the point where I talked about how much I love this beer, and Autodidact kind of sent me a message and be like, yeah, they got just some killer batch of hops on this one. And it was just, did they call out the hops on this? They don't. I don't believe so. Yeah, but they said they got a killer batch of a specific kind of hop. And, yeah, it was just out of this world stuff. Again, kind of unfair. You're like, oh, is that a shelfie by you? It kind of is a shelfie by me. Easy to get, but local breweries deserve love too, especially when they hit it like that. Some of the best out there. So yeah, if you're ever in Jersey, in and around the Morris Plainsy kind of area, you're not far away from either of these breweries. So you owe it to yourself to check them out. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. This might have been the beer of the year for me. Guten Carlus. It is their Cuvée Van de Kaiser Blau. So it is their Belgian dark. I call it more of like a quaddy dark. It's more, has a lot of quad elements to it. It's 11% alcohol by volume. This be the 2021 version. Again, aged beer. It's Jersey. I can get this. I will buy a bottle of this tomorrow. Let's put it that way. I'm going to be going to pick something up at Lowe's, and I know where to get a bottle of this. It's just that readily available by me. I've always been a big fan of Guten Carlus. You go back into my channel's history, you'll find a bunch of their beers reviewed. You'll find me re-reviewing a bunch of their stuff. And it's just one of those breweries that really do it for me. But it's also one of those traditional Belgian-style breweries that I tend to forget about, you know? I tend to sit there and go past their beers every now and then going, I'll pick that up next time. And lo and behold, about a month ago, I decided I'm not going to pick that up next time. I'm going to pick it up today. And I drank it, and I was like, I just wanted to punch myself in the face for how delicious it is. Rich. Again, the word decadent, you're going to hear a lot in here. It's rich and decadent and just so explosive in flavor from that Belgian semi-dark, semi-quad kind of territory. And those rich, darker malts that aren't caustic in any way. Very silky, very desserty in an adult kind of way. Then you get those rich fruits that you typically get from that Belgian yeast. This nice kind of just, man, this decadent dessert, for me, what dessert beers would be before dessert beers were invented. You know, before barrel-aged stouts, before, you know, just Belgian quads and darks were kind of my dessert beer. And I think it was most people's kind of dessert beer. Now, in today's world, they're viewed as very much kind of like I don't even know what they're viewed as. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about Belgian beers. Case in hand, Guten Carlos literally just got sold or bought out by, who was it? Heineken was going to do it. But the people, brewery Hazie, the people that make Delirium Tremens, that brewery basically just bought Guten Carlos. That's how the beer of the year, the beer that I think is the best beer that I've had all year, or is up there with them. The brewery can't stay afloat because nobody buys Belgian stuff. It just absolutely blew my doors off. And like I said, I got this about a month ago. That's the last time I was up in that area where I know I can get it. It's not far, it's half an hour away. If I want to go get it and get it. But, you know, I typically beer shop based on convenience. I rarely kind of go somewhere to buy beer nowadays. And tomorrow, there will be purchasing of this. Multiples. I will promise you that. Let's put that sucker over there. Last two. These are the ones I just reviewed, so they'll be top of mind, y'all. Grim Halftone, off a shelf, decently price pointed, great can art. This beer just blew me away. Honestly, you know, might be one of, if not the best shelfy hazy I've ever had in my life. It's a 6.5% Citra, Zaka, Eldorado, and Simcoe hopped IPA from Grim Brewing, Grim Artisan Ale, sorry. And yeah, it was, as the review states, a very, again, we'll use the word, another descriptor that I've been using a lot here, adulty hazy. You know, not overly sweet, very, a lot of depth and characteristics on a green, and not overtly bittering, but green side of things. A nice fruit portion show, again, undersweetened, keeps it in an adulty range, and just ends up being, like, let's put it this way. This would be one of those I get a 4-pack of, and typically what I try to do, is I want to review a beer before I ever drink it. But every now and then, a la is the case for Trösten or that Keller beer from Von Trapp. I drank one first and went, I need to drink all these right now, kind of thing. I didn't drink them all the same day, but you know what I'm saying. I just wasn't in the mood to review. I just enjoyed them so much. I just wanted to keep enjoying them. If I did that with this beer, I probably would have done this with this 4-pack. That's how great this beer hit me, and the rest of the 3 that came with this 4-pack were not long for this world. And last but not least, WeldWerks. It is their Medianoche and barrel-aged Imperial Stout 2024. This is a weird beer for me. I just reviewed it. I posted, I want to say, on the 30th or 31st of December. So just a couple days ago. And if you watch the review, it's weird because I'm fighting myself the whole time because it was literally little to no carbonation. When a beer has little to no carbonation, it's kind of hard for it to be one of my favorite beers, let alone get on a list of my favorite beers of the year that I've reviewed. But I couldn't deny this one, man. I couldn't deny it. Even with that relatively zero carbonation, it was just so rich and decadent. Here's those words again. And just had this depth of flavor and complexity that you rarely get with these huge barrel-aged stouts. There's just so much going on. Multiple levels of chocolate. The way the spirit comes off. I actually associate it with, I mean this is a positive, most people might view it as a negative. It's kind of like a new school kind of triple bock is the vibes I got from it. Again, way lower ABV. You're talking about 13% as opposed to, or 12.3% as opposed to pushing 20. But just its impact and how it was like, I think I showed it even on camera, like the legs on it were crazy. Actually, I remember I took a picture of it. I spilled some, and I took a picture of the droplet, and I showed the camera, and like the droplet had this huge dome on it because it was so viscous. It was so thick. but drinkable still, that it retained its dome shape. It just didn't spread out like every other liquid on earth. Yeah, it was just one of those fantastical, this delicious beers off the shelf, mind you. And this sounds like something you have to kind of trade for or whatever, but I bought it off the shelf. You know, it was up there in price in the mid-20s, but definitely worth it. And honestly, like one of the more impactful, if anything, from just a pure, man, just can't ignore kind of flavor profile that I've had in a beer in quite some time, and wrapped it up pretty perfectly. You know, you know, a lot of these you could see kind of there's an ebb and flow to them. There's a lot of, you know, we dipped off into, you know, a little bit of stout and then started dipping into low ABV haze, a lot of lagers in the middle of the journey, and then here we're dipping into some hazies and bolder beers and stouts, and with some, you know, Belgian darks, some huge bonker stouts for the end of the year in beer 2024 for me and my favorite beers that I reviewed. Yeah, that's it. I'm sure I've missed something. Someone's gonna be like, why didn't you include this beer here? I remember you freaking out about it. Well, every now and then I'll forget to put a bottle up there or a can up there, so it happens. But this is very much, I think, a good encapsulation of what I really dug this year. And honestly, a good encapsulation of what I like to drink in general. From, you know, lager to low ABV to hazy to stout to barley wine to Belgian. You know, everything's represented here. Smoke beer. You won't see, again, it's kind of weird because I'm wearing a shirt that says Hail Saison. You did not see any Saison, and you did not see any Berliner or sour beer. That's my fault, not the beer's fault. I mentioned this in a couple reviews, but I have a hidden allergy that I cannot figure out, and it is triggered by two things. Food and beer. Well, no shit, Sherlock. More specifically, wings and chili. So it's a spice. But it's also in Foder beers and Saison, like Wild Firm Saison beers. I just don't feel comfortable drinking those beers at the moment, so I've been kind of off those beers for the past year or so. So that's more a me issue than those beers issue. So if you think they weren't represented here, it's not because I didn't have one and I didn't really enjoy it. I just didn't review it. I probably reviewed like 3 the whole year, and each time I was very, again, hesitant to kind of really drink the beer and enjoy it, because I thought I think this might trigger my allergy, because there's a certain taste I think my brain is starting to connect with the allergy. We'll figure that allergy bit back, and we'll be back with the Saison and the sour stuff once we figure that out. I could always take a fistful of Benadryl before every beer review, but that would not be good for you or me, so we're not just doing that. So there you go. You're in the books. I'm trying to think of anything noteworthy outside of what I reviewed that I'd like to talk about. Not really. Outside of the state of breweries closing. That should be a separate discussion, so that's kind of crazy how many breweries. I want to say there's like 20 plus, pushing 30 breweries closed in Pennsylvania alone this year. Outside of that, personally and professionally, it's been an absolute banner year for me. You know, Mike has grown like a weed, and super hyper intelligent, won't stop talking now weed. You know, he's in pre-K, he's going to be 4 on St. Patty's Day, and he is an absolute awesome sauce duder. My wife is fantastic. She's a great mom, great partner, great provider. I have a new job that not only I like, but I appreciate, and they appreciate me. And like I said, from a professional standpoint, I couldn't be in a happier place. My shed is still not done. I still have to fix so much stuff in here. But that's part of the journey, I guess, and stuff like that. And yeah, I just want to say thank you again for everybody out there kind of watching along. Again, I am the worst commenter in the world, so a bunch of you comment and never get back to you, and I still appreciate you keeping on. And look forward to beer, the world of beer in 2025. You know, not sure where we're going to do Beer Tube Palooza this year. You know, a couple places have been tossed out there. We'll see where we land. And as far as that goes, the one thing I would like to do is travel a little bit more and get out to breweries. I didn't do that much this year at all. Really, the only big trip I did was Beer Tube Palooza. Outside of that, it was like maybe a 3-hour round trip to local places. And just get out there and just, you know, hit the pavement, meet some good people, drink some good beers, and just explore. You know, with Micah getting older, being in school and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit easier to get out. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, we'll just wrap this up now and just say thank you very much, everybody who watched all year, commented, subscribed, thumbs up, the whole thing's yada yada yada. If you saw a beer in here and you think I missed, chime in. If there's a beer you'd like me to try moving into 2025, let me know what it is and where I can get it. And yeah, outside of that, social medias. Give me a whirl. I'm on everything. Just type in Massive Beers. You should be able to find me. Might even find some podcast stuff coming up in 2025. So hopefully you all had a great 2024, and hopefully your 2025 is off to a great kick. Hopefully you're enjoying some fantastic beer right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.